Hey everyone, it's Jen. I'm doing a Lawn Fawn Love You S'more card collaboration with Crafty Paws. I cheated. I grabbed a couple more. I'm using the fire from Cozy Christmas, some faces from the Sweet Smiles, as well as the Love You Latte set. So I pre-colored some of the images the evening before. I'll often do this. It's a time saver. And if I already have my markers out, it just saves me a lot of hassle in the future. So I'm using the faces from the Love You Latte set for the s'mores. It goes perfectly. And then I'm going to use the ones from the Sweet Smiles. I think it's Sweet Smiles. Doesn't sound right, but that's gonna bug me. So anyways, I wanted to pick out some faces that were super cute but not happy, because let's face it, like, who's going to be smiling while they're getting their buns toasted over an open flame? So I picked some of these cute ones that looked kind of worried, kind of silly, and stamped those out. Now I'm only going to use one each of these, but, you know, like I said, now I have these ready to go for the future. So I'm going to die cut these off camera. And then I'm going to bring them on screen, as well as show you the rest of the die cut images that I'm going to use. So these are all from the Love You S'more set, except for that little campfire. So I'm just laying them out, and then I'm going to sweep them off. There they go. And I'm going to bring out the cardstock, which I just cut from an 8.5 by 11, so it's 4 1/4 by 5.5. Use some old paper from Costco. I think it's like 10 years old. And then I use the rectangle stitched dies. You can't see the stitching in the video, but they're there just to give some detail around the edge. And then I use the grassy borders with another old piece of paper. It's really sweet. It's like a lime green with a polka dot print on it. And I'm just going to set that on there. And then I'm going to lay out my critters. So originally I thought that I wanted them in this placement, but you'll see by the end of the card I do change it around just a little. So I know I want the squirrel on the left hand side because he's facing the left and I want him to be roasting the marshmallow. So I'm just going to get out the sentiment. I wanted to use the one, everything is more fun with you, and I'm going to play around with this for a little bit, trying to get the position just right. And for a moment I had a thought that I maybe wanted it on the bottom, but it looks terrible. I mean, you could definitely do it if you were going to put something up in the sky, but I knew I wasn't, so back up it goes. And then it was super humid that day that I was working on it, and so the stamps kept sticking to my fingers. But, you know, this is part of the process, me fidgeting, trying to get it in the exact spot I want it. So I'm finally going to get it there, and then I'm going to get it on my stamp block, and I'm going to stamp it onto just a piece of plain cardstock so that I can see if the spacing's right or if there's anything I need to change before I put it on the card. But thank goodness I took so much time fidgeting because I like it the way it is, so I'm going to go ahead, stamp it on there. Now if you wanted to go the extra step, you could emboss on the card. I've been really into the clean and simple, like really clean and simple. I'm always clean and simple, but look, and I don't know, the VersaFine gives such a crisp image that I just like it the way it is. So I'm going to lay these guys back on, and here's where you're going to see I changed the s'more and I put him over to the right beside the bear, and I like that a lot better. So I'm going to get ready to put these down after I get the stick and marshmallow back on the card. I guess this part's kind of boring, but I decided to leave it in anyhow. So I'm going to adhere down the bear first. In a second here, any second. There we go. And I'm just going to adhere it onto the s'more, and then I'm going to put them down together. Just helps make sure that I actually get them in the place that I want them to be. And then I'm going to go with the birdie. Now I chose blue because I wanted to bring in the sky. I wanted to tie in that blue. And it does match, the blue sky paper does match with the lighter shades of the bird. You can't really tell in the card. So I'm going to get this stick on the squirrel. Takes me a little bit, but that's why I use liquid adhesive here, because then I can manipulate the stick to make sure it's in the right spot, because that is definitely too low. The stick would be burning. So I'm going to, bring it up there, and it's ready to go. So I'm going to cut the grass behind the fire because I just didn't want it sticking out of the flame. I mean, let's be honest, I don't think grass is really going to survive if it's beside an open flame. So I just trimmed that down, and I think it looks a lot better. Gonna get him on here. And then I'm gonna move to the squirrel, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I wanted to make sure when I placed the squirrel that she didn't have any blades of grass coming out of her head, because that would have just looked funny. So I'm just checking placement again, and then I'm gonna snip off a few spots here. So get her down. Ugh, cut another piece of grass. It's amazing how much you can fidget over one card. I think this took me about an hour to make, not including coloring. So maybe not an hour. So there's the marshmallow. And then after I get the marshmallow down, I think I'm going to get my Wink of Stella pen. And yeah, I'm going to do the fire here. And because I used spectrums and I used a red, an orange, and a yellow, it's hard to blend. So the Wink of Stella can help blend in the end. And now I'm pulling out another stamp set, the Love and Breakfast, because I decided I want to tie in that red or that orange into the card more, so I wanted a bow. And I'm going to use my DR2 for those of you who are Spectrum Noir colorers. That's kind of my go-to red. And I only need one, but again, I had room for two. So fussy cutting, which I hate, so I cut most of that out of the video. And originally I had wanted to put it on the squirrel, but it was too big. It covered her ears, and then I was like, oh, maybe the tail, maybe a bow tie. No, that looks silly. Try the head again, because I really wanted it on the squirrel, but nope. So I put it over to the bear like that. Now that I see it, I like it in the middle too, but I went for it over the ear. And then I'm going to use my Wink of Stella on that as well. And I think I already did the bird. So then I'm going to grab out my glossy accents, and I'm going to put that on the flame. And again, that helps kind of trick the eye into better blending as well. So I'm using my fine line bottle, which I love. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy I don't have to use pins in my glossy accent anymore to get it out. I'm going to do the bow and the beak, and then the last step is I'm just going to darken up some of the facial expressions here. And if I'd thought about this sooner, I would have done it on the flame as well before I glossy accented it, but that's okay. So please go check out Christina's creation. I'm going to have some still pictures here in a second. And thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye!